I'm sitting here with Randy Rothenberg, the eloquent, and it turns out a very good singer, who has been the CEO and president of the IAB since 2007 with a short interlude, but you're back and everybody's happy about that. Randy has done so much for the better good of the digital marketing industry, and he steers a big ship that's had stormy seas at time, but I think you've done a good job navigating through. Curious to know what keeps the chief of the IAB up at night. What are you worried about? Is it privacy? Like when you get up in the morning, what problems do you have to solve?
Well, I don't think, at this point, nothing actually keeps me up at night. I'm sleeping reasonably well because I exercise every morning. But think a lot about making sure that the industry stays on the right side of consumer privacy rights and expectations, as you indicated, and we are, and that's been going very, very well. I think, Sarah, the larger issues are, the digital industry remains very confusing to so many of our customers on the agency side and the marketer side, and it becomes more confusing as more innovation enters the marketplace at a breakneck pace. So I think I'm kind of more kept up at night over the issue of how do we explain all these innovations, all this possibility, all this potential to the people who can benefit so much from it. How
do you make sense of all of the startups, essentially, that are out there?
Yeah, everybody, refers to the now famous Terry Kawaja Luma slide of the ecosystem, which he debuted at the IAB annual leadership meeting a couple of years ago, and it looks like a massive confusion, and so many people in the in our ecosystem still refer to the digital industry as the Wild West.
Yes.
It's actually not the Wild West. It's fairly easy to understand, but if you're overwhelmed by looking at all the innovation, you can't really see the forest for the trees.
Sure.
And so part of our business is explaining what the forest looks like to those people who are only seeing trees.
That's a good way of looking at it. I talk about some areas of the industry as the Wild West. Mobile marketing feels a little bit that way. Some areas are very grown up at this point and mature organizations. But mobile is an area that is coming like a freight train. And I imagine that the IAB is getting ready for it, or right in it. I mean, you guys are in it.
Oh yeah,
right?
we launched at the beginning of this year the IAB Mobile Marketing Center of Excellence.
Yes.
About 20 of our member companies stepped up, separately funded it. We now have dedicated FTEs just against mobile, and during the past year, the group went like gangbusters. We hired a fabulous woman from Ericsson, the device company, to be our first ever VP of mobile. And we just recently released the first set of mobile-rich media standards. We released the first CMO study about marketer behaviors and attitudes towards mobile. We released an update on mobile measurement guidelines. So yeah, we're heavily involved in sense-making around mobile. But at the same time, one of the ways I would urge people to make sense of it is, take a look at the IAB, the CMO survey, and also this year for the first time, we included mobile spend statistics as part of the IAB PwC interactive advertising revenue report. And the reality is, spend is still quite low. It is still R&D. And if you look at the CMO survey, you'll find that they're fascinated, they know it's coming, but they are still viewing it as largely as R&D.
Sure.
Where it's becoming really interesting and important is not first and foremost on the brand advertising side, it's actually in the consumer promotions and soon the trade promotion side. That's at least in the smartphone marketplace. Tablets likely will be a different story, but as just about anybody in the field will tell you, it's not clear yet whether tablets are mobile devices or not.
Yeah, I suppose it's a matter of semantics, but at the same time, you have to develop for that, and it feels to a developer like a mobile device.
Yeah, well, but in the same way, a laptop is a mobile device too, and
sure.
I think what we need to pay very, very careful attention to is, yes, the things we do at IAB around standardization and around best practices, but we also want to start collecting and paying attention to case studies and looking in reality at how best case companies are using different kinds of mobile devices, where the opportunities are and where the obstacles are.
Right, where's the value? I know you've always played a big role too in really pushing the industry on better creative and creating better value. And you just had your Mix Awards too. Was that, I mean, what was the outcome? Did you feel like there was an upgrade this year in submissions?
Oh, it was actually, I think, one of the biggest occurrences of the year. And it looked a little bit underground, but to me it was pretty profound. The biggest change that we saw was not just in the number of admissions, and I think it went up by 50%, something like that, so it grew a lot, but the kinds of agencies that were submitting. We saw a far greater percentage of award submissions from kind of classic, great creative agencies, from the Crispins, from the Goodbys, from the Martins, from the McKinneys, from the Hill Holidays, and I think overall this is one of these kind of subterranean stories that it's kind of there, it's in front of your face, so you don't see it. It's just that a lot of the really important movement in the digital space is coming from agencies that have fantastic, long-standing creative chops. And so they're kind of almost forcibly taking back digital advertising from the digital natives and saying, hey folks, wait a minute, we know how to do storytelling, and we can learn, and we have learned how to integrate technology into that. I think it's a very, very big story.
That's interesting. But you find creativity in surprising places too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it works the other way around too. I mean, we created our agency advisory board, as you know, a couple of years ago, and it kind of came out of a startling realization that almost all of our interactions at IAB were with the media agencies, like the one you used to run. And we had very little interaction through our members or on our own with the creative agencies. And I remember coming into the job and saying, I think you're thinking a little too narrowly here, because creative agencies still own the client relationship, often very right up to the CEO of the company. And they create the product that is the public face of the client company.
Of course, media and creative are meshed, and there have to be working relationships, or it doesn't work. I mean, I think that lots of different companies are finding ways to solve that. So let me ask you one more question. What are you excited about for 2012?
Oh my God.
Do you think something, if you have your eyes on the prize for something big, what's your wish?
Well, I've been saying for a couple of years that the inevitability of connected television is, right upon us. And if you've got a Google TV, an Apple TV, an Xbox, a PlayStation, a Roku box, a Boxy box, I mean, you're seeing this, a TiVo. Well,
I think the people from Canute would agree with you.
Yeah, and it is digital, and the movement, the acceleration of movement of original programming that's getting, original to digital programming that's getting really big audiences, the sale of advertising into these spaces, direct content sales, led not just by Netflix, but by others that you kind of haven't heard of, but are still selling, millions of dollars worth of content into the real marketplace. Is just, I think, a harbinger. So that's something I'm very excited about. We even changed. We decided that for our strategic initiatives in 2012. We were going to hold the course because everything that we were working on was not only relevant but still insistent from 2011 to 2012. So privacy remains big. Making measurement make sense is a priority initiative. But we changed the name of the mobile initiative to Screens Cubed, to take cognizance of the notion that we're living in a multiple upon multiple screens environment, and that's one of the priorities that we have to pay attention to.
I'm completely with you on that. Well, Randy, thank you so much for joining us.